Hey everybody, Brian Von Vier here. Today we're going to be talking about players of Reddit who was a fighter that you have made or enjoyed playing as. We know them, we love them, they're our favorite tank next to Paladin. It's the fighters. This includes pure fighters and multi-classes, by the way. I'll go first. A tiefling fighter I currently enjoy playing in a campaign is named Corlath Vlander. In this version of him, because I try to experiment with paths that he could have taken, he currently starts as an Echo Knight Fighter 3 to start. Corlath is played with his Echo reflavored as being his wife, made from his shadow. Aww. For a bit of context on Corlath's backstory for this version is that his folks in the Nine Hells got tired of seeing their son having trouble with the ladies for years. Well, they decided enough was enough. Well, what did they do? They called in a few favors from some demons who took this as an interesting challenge. A powerful ritual was performed while Corlath slept, and he awoke to no shadow and a beautiful woman clinging to his arm. She called herself Avalis Veldanun. Now they live and fight together while dealing with whatever life throws at them. Flavor-wise, in a fight, Avalis enters her husband's shadow and chills out inside of it until she's called out. When not in a battle, she is free to openly roam about with him. However, they can't move too far away from each other. I personally enjoy using the martial classes. My favorite is a Battle Master Swashbuckler. I think they're an even split on levels as well. Mac Deagle is a pirate captain that I always enjoy running because I play him like he's everyone's friend or has their best interests in mind. Charismatic as hell, in other words. I've actually hijacked an all-rogues campaign with him and turned it into a pirate campaign by fast-talking his way onto a ship, dueling the captain for control, and winning. His most recent success on his own, technically not really, but the navigator is only half his level, was almost getting captured by a hexblade who captured his navigator. He survived that whole encounter with an action surge and blind fighting in a fog cloud. I'm currently playing a character which name I hope I don't butcher, Avimir Lavinet, a high elf samurai fighter and the third and youngest child of a noble. Avimir is focused on one thing: returning the family blade that was stolen from him in order to restore his family's honor. But that's just how he presents it. In reality, Avamir's pride was damaged by losing the swords and now feels a need to repair it for himself. Had a big dumb orc tavern brawler fighter who was more of a danger to himself than enemies were to him. 2 +1 shields, 1 in each hand, and would just not die. However, would also eat everything. At one point, he suffered poisoning from eating a wizard's magic ink, bottle and all. I miss that big oaf so very much. As part of a story in our campaign, we did a one-shot about one of our PCs at the table. Turns out he lost his memories, and he was associated with the big bad evil guy. Fun fact, it turns out that she was a survivor of an even bigger EG. Most of us sacrificed our lives sealing away. As such, we were assigned a name, race, and a level 12 class different from the one we were initially. We were allowed to make our own backstory on how we met our main character, and we got to choose 1 rare magical item, 2 uncommon, or 3 common. I could give more details, but I'll keep it simple. I got Sairima, Shadar Kai, level 12 samurai fighter. They're formerly identified as an IT backstory. An emotionless weapon trained since childbirth to decimate any battlefield they were sent to, and to serve their clan and the Raven Queen without question. They were the strongest in their clan and feared by many. They lost to the MC, Karmos Render, in a battle he had no choice but to run and fight indirectly, and eventually bought their freedom. They now serve as his strongly devoted, emotionless right-hand Ronin. He tries to help give a life and personality to. They're perpetually emotionless and serious, take almost all idioms and even sarcasms at face value, constantly curious about the very concept of fun and relaxation, and calling the MC master against his wishes as he's trying to teach them individuality, personality during our one-shot was also what made them fun and funny to play as. Unfortunately, their life was forfeit, as was everyone else's, as a result of sealing the one-shot big bad evil guy. What made them awesome to play was how dangerous I ended up making them. Since I got to choose a magical item up to a rare rarity, I chose the Belt of Hill Giant Strength. With point buy, my stats ended up like this: 21, 16, 16, 12, 12, 12, plus 5 strength, plus 3 dex and con, plus 1 and everything else. Combined with the feats of Tough, Fighter Initiate, Observant, and Dual Wielder, as well as my race as a Shadar Kai, and my weapon of choice, 2 longswords flavored as a Dai Sho, I was almost as powerful as my backstory made me. Dom Frey, a former arena fighter oh no, turned mercenary that needs to rebuild his retirement plan because he spent it all on a magical surgery to fix his spine that was severely injured from his fighting days. Lots of pain. Obviously based in Don Fry, and as mean as that son of a bitch is. Look, I watched his one fight where he was literally punching out a 9-foot tall Asian dude. That was a great fight. 10 out of 10, Don. My first character I ever played was a human fighter. Oh, I know, original, I know. Named Rainier. We were playing Pathfinder 1st Edition. High five to the Pathfinder boys and girls. I left my backstory mostly up to the DM, but he tried to be as well dressed as possible. He had red eyes that glowed once he was angry, of course. Dropped off as a baby in the slums of some city along with the sword he carried, he was trained in the art of fighting. Rather than the traditional fighting style, his style was very fluent, almost dance-like. His fighting style was reminiscent of fencing. In actual combat, he used defensive fighting techniques such as fighting defensively, which was a Pathfinder thing, and the combat expertise feat. His tactic was to use all of his defensive capabilities to raise his defense. Then, he would use the dirty trick feat to pocket sand his attackers. And finally, he would go in for the kill on the blinded enemy. Unfortunately, the campaign ended prematurely, and I never found out anything about his parents, the sword he carried that glowed when someone was killed by it, or why his eyes glowed red when he was angry. I played him as a personification of me, the actual player. I hope one day I can find a good enough DM to give him the full story he deserved. He will always hold a place deep inside my heart. We all love you, Rainier. Hope you get to see your story told in a good light. Well, I have been playing the same character first I ever made in a game that is still going after about, 5 years. He is now a fighter, 11, Battlemaster, Ranger 3, Monster Slayer. He is not really about the build. I get a lot of enjoyment role-playing, given how much work I have invested in his backstory, personality, etc. Seeing him interact with the party and the, by the DM, lovingly created deluge of shit going to hell that is the world and plot. Arthur McFife. A clinically insane knight who had plans of becoming an Eldritch Knight before the incident. The party found him in a bar drinking with people. The thing is, with one roll he went from blackout drunk to stone cold sober. Currently playing Curse of Strahd right now, and I'm playing a Harengon Gunslinger. And he is so fun. He is a massive idiot and a bit full of himself. He sold his crossbow to someone and then spent an hour and a half deciding if he should buy a ladder or not. Well, why not? Buy a ladder, then you could chokeslam someone with it. Who knows? I've got a fighter I'm currently playing named Nathaniel Kane. He's an elf blacksmith who made all their gear and continues to pull out crazy over-the-top moves. Probably doesn't help that my DM let me make a homebrew weapon that's a chain with one end having a blade on one end and a flail head on the other. He's also stated by the DM to be the only elf in the kingdom who can get along with a dwarf. Ooh, I like him already. I didn't end up playing the campaign, but my friend told us once that he was running an Asterix and Obelix campaign. It's a European comic set in ancient France, and that we weren't allowed to be full casters. I went for an Eldritch Knight fighter with the Warcaster and Polearm Master feats. My plan was to cast grease around myself so they would fall prone if they tried to reach me. At which point, I would cast Booming Blade on them as a reaction. Basically make it impossible for anyone to reach me. Muleteer Smith, a half-orc from Cliffside Clan and Marquise of Tasha's court. When he was a kid, a hag stole his ability to read, so he went off into the Feywild to get it back. While doing so, he mastered the art of throwing the dwarf, which led to the decapitation of a Jabberwocky. Now that his adventure in the Feywild is done, he's going to open a bookstore. That's kinda random, but I love it. Warhammer 40k, Sister of Battle, Ascension class was Palentine. The character went militant route all the way down in promotion classes. Total XP expenses topped out at 19,200. I also went straight melee. No other weapon skills. This shit was straight up broken. I loved playing this character because she was such an asshole with a heart of gold. Murder hobo because Sister of Battle, and she had seen so much combat that by the end of things, she was pretty much daring people to try and kill her. My Palentine was a deranged paladin. Did you know that if you optimized your Sister of Battle build using Dark Heresy 1 and went this route, you can end up with 4 melee attacks, 2 dodges, 3 parries, and get Indomitable Fortitude? My most memorable duel was a one-on-one with a custody shield captain. That I won. Because I said, freaking broken. Avrix, denounced as the Mind Reaver. It was an Illithid homebrew race Psi warrior. He was an escaped Illithid from a destroyed settlement whose main goal was to survive, as he thought that vengeance was a pointless act and overall even quite useless. How did he find a suitable job? He became a bounty hunter, preferring the deceased option for, various obvious reasons. He had to keep his identity hidden most of the time. He was not good by a long margin. He had his schemes to get his next target. The party he traveled with became useful companions, essentially, that sometimes helped with his captures. It helped that none of them were good aligned and had some dark backgrounds themselves. He has risked his life once or twice to save them, since he deemed they were worthy an asset to risk his life over. He survived till the end of the campaign and ended up with a bounty of his own. Only that those destined to ambush him would have to maul with other great foes too. I made a pure Echo Knight fighter who was a P-rate. She used pistols and a rapier, and had the gunner feat to ignore reloading. It was really fun making creative use of the Echo during combat to teleport around by swapping places with it. That kinda sounds like a Hunter x Hunter move. If anyone knows that anime, watch the Greed Island arc. I'll guarantee that you'll come up with some unique things for your Echo fighter too. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA, back at it again, right here at the end of the vid. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and leave a comment down below letting us know about your fighter and how I, Brian, can maybe bring them to life with a little bit of my voice acting. Be they a gruff Scottish warrior, or maybe a little bit of an Irish boy. I don't know. I'm happy to bring them all to life because they deserve it. I love you all. Be safe, be happy. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.